This teenage girl, Maple, is persuaded by her friend, Risa, to try out a new VR game called New World Online. She puts on the VR headset and gets transported into the game menu. After she enters her name, a selection of weapons pop up on the screen. Maple really doesn't want to take damage, so she goes for the Great Shield. Next, she has to distribute her character's status points, and she goes all out with defense. Then she gets teleported to the beautiful main lobby where other players are chillin'. As Maple takes her first steps, she realizes that she's very slow because she has 0 speed points. But she doesn't care because she just wants to get strong, so she asks a random player, named Frederica, where to fight monsters to level up. The blonde calls her a noob scrub and points to the forest, where there's easy mobs to grind XP. She enters the forest and a cute bunny comes out of the bushes and headbutts her, but due to her max defense, she doesn't take damage. As the thing persists, she acquires a skill called Total Defense, which doubles her pre-existing defense points. So now she's basically a small tank, and the bunny literally kills itself from headbutting her, which makes her feel pretty guilty. But at least now she leveled up with 5 new status points, which she puts all into defense again. Suddenly a giant bee on steroids comes out of nowhere and starts dive bombing her noggin, and Maple realizes that it actually tickles because she's so buff. The bee then spews poison on Maple, and she starts losing health for the first time. She says fuck this shit, I'm out, and starts running for her life, but she couldn't get far and falls due to the poison. On the ground, she acquires the skill of poison resistance because what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. After this revelation, she baits the bee to attack by pretending to be hurt, and as the bee goes in for the kill, she grabs her sword and sticks it in its face. GG. The bee dropped a small ring which gives wearers regeneration, and she levels up with a new skill that doubles her defense points. Again, Maple now feels invincible, so she relaxes and falls asleep in the forest. Then creatures immediately come out to try to attack her. As this is happening, a player named Kuromu randomly walks by and was like, WTF is going on there? Later, Maple gets woken up by a new skill achievement, and she suddenly realizes that she's under attack. She freaks out swinging her sword, putting all the critters on a shirt, and gets more skills and XP which she puts into defense again. After Maple got back to the lobby, she saw Kuroma walking by, decked out with drip, and asks him where he got such a badass looking shield, so Kuroma brought her to Iz's workshop. Iz sees this grown-ass man bring in a lone little girl and calls the police to report a case of pedophilia. Psych, she's just pranking him. Maple tells Iz that she wants a drippy shield, and Iz tells her that it costs $1 million. Maple admits that she's broke and gets laughed at. Iz tells her to get her money up and start hustling by going to Poison Dragon's labyrinth to get loot. Kuromo gives Maple some potions, and she sets off on another adventure. She eventually finds the entrance, and inside the cave she got attacked by slimes, so she crushes them with her shield, giving her a shield attack skill. Maple stumbles upon the boss room and goes in to find a big three-headed dragon. The dragon spits purple poison which is acidic and melts away her shield and sword. The dragon spits again, and now she is losing HP fast. Out of desperation, she cracks open a health potion and goes back to full HP. The dragon keeps spitting poison, but every time she gets low, she cracks a health potion and she keeps spamming them until she literally became fucking immune to the dragon poison. Bruh. The dragon switches to Plan B, picking her up and trying to squeeze her to death, Anaconda style, but that also does nothing cause she's too stacked on defense. Maple tried karate chopping the dragon, which also did no damage, so it seems like they're just stuck in a stalemate for eternity. In a last-ditch effort, she decides to use her tiny teeth to bite the dragon, and she actually ripped a chunk of flesh out of it, causing it great pain. She sees that it worked, so now she starts literally eating the dragon alive as her preferred method of attack, and that's how the boss was defeated. GG's, more XP and a new OP skill, which literally gives her the poison saliva powers of the dragon. Inside the chest, she finds extremely rare loot, only awarded to players moronic enough to solo a dragon first try by eating it alive, and now she's also decked out with drip. She tests out her new gear and skills in the forest by bashing a bunch of Pokemon-looking ass things with her shield, and paralyzing ladybugs using her new sword's ability. Maple then starts eating the ladybugs and they explode, giving her blast resistance and an OP ability called Devour, which she applies to her shield. Later in real life, Maple tells her school friend Risa about how she heard the game is hosting their first Battle Royale event, like Fortnite, and Risa complains about how her mom doesn't let her play. Back in the game, the event starts and the players get transported to a new map. Instead of PvP, Maple turns into Picasso and draws a dragon, but gets interrupted by a scrub who charges at her with a sword. Maple quickly blocks, and the scrub gets vaporized by the shield's Devour ability. Soon, other goons also come out to attack her, so she uses her paralysis ability to stop them, then one-taps all 3 of them with her shield. What the actual fuck? An idiot sneaks up and smashes Maple's head, which does nothing, and the spectators are shocked to see she doesn't take damage. Soon all the players gang up on her, so Maple unleashes her most OP dragon poison ability called Hydra. The spectators watch in horror as everyone gets dissolved by poison, then Maple goes back to drawing. The game mascot then comes to tell Maple that she's currently in 3rd place, behind 2 high-level players named Dread and Pain. But the mascot also gave away her location, and soon she's surrounded again, and another cocky guy gets his ass handed to him with a one-tap. Maple spews more poison in the air and forces some players to off themselves. She also paralyzes some and makes them die slow painful deaths. In the end, she has a kill count of over 2,000 with 0 deaths, and she remains 3rd place. Back at school, she tells Risa about how broken she became, and Risa tells her that her mom finally let her play. So they both log in, and Risa names her character Sally for privacy. They head to an inn, and Sally builds a super fast sword character, the complete opposite to her slow tanky friend. Sally comments on how sexy Maple's shield looks, and she tells Sally that she actually wants a new white shield, but to get it, is said they need to head to the underground lake for materials to craft it. Sally is thrilled to go out on their first adventure and heads out the door, but stops as she realizes that Maple is so slow. Her walk is faster than Maple's run. So Sally gives Maple a piggyback ride as their preferred way of travel. On the way, Maple casually slays some mobs for XP, and they quickly make it to the underground lake. They start catching fish, which gives them shells for crafting the shield, and after a while they only got 25. Sally thinks this is too slow, so she goes free diving under the lake to find more and comes back with an inventory full of them. She tells Maple that she also found an underwater boss room and she wants to beat it, but needs to level up some more. After days of grinding XP, Sally feels ready and enters the room to find a big air pocket and a massive dark figure swimming under her. She says bring it on and dives down to attack it. She slashes at it and throws wind cutter attacks. The fish monster tries to bite Sally, but she's super fast and easily dodges. Sally grabs onto its back and stabs the shit out of it for a bit. The monster then spews a dark liquid and Sally responds with a water ball attack, neutralizing it, then she shanks it with another powerful stab. As Sally realizes she's running out of oxygen, the fish monster puts up a smokescreen and shoots a plasma beam out of its mouth. Seems like he learned this move from Godzilla, and Sally swims for her life. As the fish takes a break from puking plasma, Sally spams wind cutter attacks, decapitating the fish and beating the boss. Inside the loot chest she finds a new outfit and is dripped out too. After she got back to Maple, they hear an announcement that the devs will be adding level 2 to the game, which is a whole new world to explore. The next day, Sally tells Maple that the devs nerfed her Devour ability, reducing it to only 10 uses per day, so she can't one-tap 2,000 players in a single event anymore, and they also nerfed Maple's defense so she's less overpowered. Maple is sad to learn this, but then she remembers how OP her Hydra attack is, and stops worrying. In-game, the two does some shopping, and Maple buys a new skill called Cover Move, which helps her defend her friends. Then they come across a pair of twins, Mai and Yui, arguing about whether they should buy potions or weapons. Maple and Sally then go on a date to a restaurant, where they meet Dread, who came second in the event, and Drag, who came 5th. The guys simp over the number 1 player, Pain, who's also the first player to unlock the second level of the game, and talk about how the devs are about to host a second Battle Royale event. Before they leave, Sally asks them about more cool places to explore, and Dread suggests the North Forest where she can unlock a super speed skill. Sally gets excited and she heads out on another adventure with Maple's ass in her hands. Once they enter the forest, fiery ghosts appear, causing Sally to piss herself like a little bitch. They hide out in a random cabin and Sally suddenly heard a strange sound coming from the table. Maple checks it out and finds the entrance to a creepy basement. They go down into a satanic-looking ass room with some random guy tied to a chair in pain. Maple kindly uses one of her health potions to heal the guy, but it doesn't work. Sally then tries to use her magic to heal the guy, and that actually works, and he finally rests in peace. On his chair, they find a scroll which unlocks Sally's super speed ability. After the forest, Sally takes Maple on a second date to an extremely beautiful part of the map where it's always sunset, and they find some red pearls on the beach. After sightseeing, they are prepared to leave level 1 behind and enter the dungeon that they have to beat to unlock level 2. Suddenly they feel the ground shaking as a bunch of boars come charging out of the darkness, and Maple uses her shield to devour them. Then an even bigger monster appears in front of them, and Sally thought it was the perfect time to play a prank. She uses her Mirage ability to make Maple's shield vanish, and Maple starts panicking panicking as the giant bear charges at her, but it crashes and gets devoured by her invisible shield that was in her hands the whole time. Sally says it's just a prank, sis. Further into the dungeon, they come across a weird waterfall, then a bunch of thick tree roots start moving, and a massive deer monster materializes. Maple immediately summons her three-headed Hydra dragon to attack the giant deer, and it causes a huge explosion which eats Maple in the air and she gets knocked out cold. Sally now has to take on the beast all alone, and as she speeds towards it, the deer summons giant tree roots to attack her, but she dodges. She slashes the deer, then jumps on its back and hits it with a fireball attack. The deer then summons even more roots in vain, and gets hit with a wind cutter right in the eyeball. While it's half blinded, Sally uses a branch to swing down and pummels it with a powerful attack, sending a shockwave throughout the cave. After a cool landing, the giant beast falls behind her, shaking the ground and waking up Maple, who was ready for round 2, but she's too late and the deer disintegrates. Sally gets all the XP, and that made Maple upset even after they reached the second level lobby, where she met Is again. Maple introduces Sally, and Is tells her that her white shield has been crafted just in time before the second event, so Maple isn't upset anymore. Afterwards, Sally takes Maple on a third date, and this time, they go to a magical place where wine glasses float and space booze pours from the stars. A piece of sky then falls on their plates, and Maple takes a bite of the holy balls, and her eyes turn rainbow. Sally sips the space vodka, and her hair also turns colorful and sparkly. They end the date by questioning if they're turning lesbian for each other inside a VR video game. The next day, as they're waiting for the event to start, Maple meets Kuromo again and introduces Sally, but they get distracted by Me, the leader of the Flame Emperor's Guild, giving a motivational speech. Then, the flying mascot, Walmart Charizard-looking ass, explains that the goal of this event is to collect as many medals as possible by searching the map, looting chests, or killing players who already collected them. 10 silver medals equals 1 gold, and 1 gold can buy gear and skills, aka abilities. He wishes everyone luck, and the players get transported to the new map. Subscribe and watch this next video to find out what happens in this Battle Royale event, because it gets pretty insane. Previously, Maple decided to put every stat into defense in a VR game and accidentally became so overpowered that she doesn't take damage, ate a dragon alive, and one-tapped over 2,000 players to win the first Battle Royale. We left off right after the start of the second Battle Royale, where she's also joined by her friend Sally. Sally and Maple wander around the empty map, complaining how there's nothing interesting. Then Maple disappears. Sally wonders where the frick her friend went, then hears a voice coming from the floor. So she sticks her face in the floor and sees Maple in a cave and goes down to join her. They come across a dungeon door and head inside. A huge clown-looking thing suddenly jumps down from the roof, and Maple uses cover move to teleport to Sally and defend her. Then the thing swings again and knocks Maple back, which kills her. JK, she still takes no damage. Sally then runs behind the clown and starts slicing up the thing's ass. It swings again but misses, and Sally talks a bit more smack while Maple unleashes her Hydro poison, easily beating the boss. The loot chest then spawns and they get 2 silver medals. After getting back above ground, they head to the mountain where they come across Kuromu and his friends, but they don't want the smoke, so they head to a boss room instead, and the girls soon follow. They enter an ice cave where a huge bird comes out of the sky and shoots ice shards at them. Maple gives Sally her shield and uses her body as a shield to shield her shield from the ice shards. LMAO, she's just flexing at this point. The bird then shoots a big ass shard, and Maple is like, alright, now I'll use my shield. Then Sally charges at it and jumps in the air. Maple anticipates the bird is going to attack Sally, so she uses cover move again, and her shield fucks up the bird's claw. She then tells her Hydra to snack on the bird, but they all ended up getting frozen. The bird then starts shooting even more ice shards at them, and now Maple is actually starting to get hurt for real, so Sally gives her some life energy from behind. Pause. After the thing stops spamming ice, Sally successfully jumps up on the bird and creates a tornado around it, then Maple spews more poison. The bird somehow still comes out unfazed and starts charging up a huge attack. Maple sees this coming and defends with all her might. After the death beam, the girls are still alive and the bird becomes very pissed, so it turns into a dark shadow and comes at them in that form. This was surprisingly effective, because Maple's shield gets shattered and her armor is damaged too. Sally is now mad that Maple got hurt, so she takes revenge. She jumps in the air and the bird spams ice straight at her, which vaporizes her because she hasn't got Maple's defense. Psych, she was using her Mirage ability to make an illusion and the bird was hitting air this whole time, wasting its ice powers. Finally, Maple summons Hydra to bite the shit out of the bird again, and eventually it gets dissolved by poison. The girls finally relax and Sally asks how the hell Maple is still alive. Maple admits the only reason they won is because she acquired a new skill during battle that allows her to survive on 1 HP. A skill called Plot armor. Maple then picks up a giant feather in the poison for crafting, then teleports to Sally and sees the loot they get for beating this boss. They get 2 eggs, which can spawn pets they can tame, and Maple starts rubbing her face on it. Outside, they come across a player who kills another for a medal, and Sally gets excited at the thought of PvP. But they hold off on that because they don't want to damage their eggs. Later, they come across a tall cliff and Sally jumps down to check out what's down there. Once at the bottom, she turns around and sees a big purple ball hurling down too. Turns out Maple put herself in a ball of poison to help her travel faster. Eventually, their pet eggs start to hatch. Maple gets a turtle and Sally gets a fox and a ring, which allows pets to help their owners in PvP. Maple names her turtle Syrup, so together they can be Maple Syrup. Get it? And Sally names hers a bureau. And before dark, they start training their pets to attack mobs because they can level up as well. The next day, they wander into a desert and come across another girl named Kasumi, who looks like she wants all the smoke. Sally and Kasumi dash through the desert, feeling out each other's speed. Kasumi then suddenly slices Sally so fast she couldn't even react. But then Kasumi realizes it's a mirage, and she gets sliced instead. Then they get distracted by Maple falling out of the sky and crashing in the sand. This triggers a sand whirlpool and they get dragged down into another dungeon. The girls square up again, then realize they're bound by enchanted chains, and learns that while bound, if one person dies, they all die, so they make a temporary truce. As they walk down the halls, Maple trips and falls right in front of a medal. Then the cave walls start shaking and a snail on all kinds of steroids and growth hormones passes by without noticing the girls. Then tons more of them show up and Sally and Kasumi nopes the hell out of there with super speed, dragging the slow Maple with them. After Maple gets ragdolled, they realize there's nowhere left to run and get completely surrounded by giant snails. Maple then spots a hole with light up above, so Sally quickly uses her leap ability to jump to it, but she couldn't jump high enough. Kasumi then clutches with her double jump and everyone escapes safely. Sally and Kasumi now respect each other more and they head towards the door. Inside, their chain disappears and they open the loot chest to find more gear and medals. After they make it back up, Kasumi apologizes to Sally for attacking her earlier and they squash the beef and depart as friends. The next day Sally finds Maple playing a game with a boy named Kanade and introduces him to Sally. He shows them his magical cube, which he acquired after beating a puzzle in a library. He also gives them a book with clues that lead them to puzzle locations. And soon they found a place where fountains are supposed to be filled with water, so Maple uses her Hydra to puke poison in them and this works as well. They get transported underwater and as they get ready to face another boss, a giant tentacle comes out and gets devoured by Maple's shield. Then they come face to face with a huge squid who also has regeneration, so Sally wonders how the hell they're supposed to kill it. Maple gets an idea and summons her Hydra again to poison the entire ocean, and this is how the squid was easily defeated. After this boss, they get transported to another part of the ocean and Maple starts drowning. Then she remembers she's in a VR game and they acquire 2 more medals. At night, they realize the event is about to end, but they don't have enough medals to win. So Sally decides she needs to start killing other players for more medals and Maple agrees to keep her pets safe while she goes out to risk her life in PvP. As she's speeding through the forest, she comes across 2 noobs. The girl tries to stab Sally, but she dodges and gives her a slice. Noob girl swings again and Sally plays limbo, then knocks her weapon out of the way and puts her in a spliff. Her friend now also starts swinging her ass off, but Sally dances and dodges everything like Muhammad Ali. Then with a few slices, she sends him up to heaven to meet him. After taking 2 bodies, Sally's disappointed that they never even had any medals on them. Bruh. So she goes hunting for more people while Maple struggles to calm down the pets eating a slime. She then looks up to the red moon and hopes that Sally is still well. And she's well indeed, because she just encountered a large group of people who look up at her in horror, and in the end she only got 2 medals out of the whole massacre. After making it back to Maple, they hear someone else with them in the cave, and coincidentally, it's Kasumi. Then for extra safety, Maple puts poison in the entrance of the cave so nobody would dare to come in. They play a board game as they wait for the mascot to tell them that the event ended so they can relax and use their coins to buy more skills. Maple buys a skill called Megamorph to make her turtle pet absolutely huge, and Psychokinesis, which allows it to fly. The 2 other girls look at her like WTF is this bitch on, while Maple summons Acid Rain to kill a bunch of mobs on a giant flying turtle. The next day, in real life, Maple fell asleep at school because she stayed up all night gaming. In the hall she gets bumped by a guy and squares up, thinking she's still in a video game. During dodgeball, while the ball is flying at her, she tries putting up her shield and gets smashed in the face, then decides to take a break from VR. Well, not really, because she logs on again after school and Sally tells her the devs added bright bugs you can catch that allows you to buy a house for your guild. Maple gets excited and wants to go catch it, but Sally reveals that she already got it. So they start looking for a bunch of houses and get disappointed that none of them are good. While they walk in the forest, Sally talks about how some guilds are insane, like the Flame Emperor Guild, who everyone joins because the leader is a hottie, or the Holy Sword Guild, which has all top players from the first battle royal, including Pain, who's number 1. Then they come across a tree stump house which they find super cute, so they decide to buy this one on the spot. After settling in, they feel a bit lonely in the big stump, so they invite Kasumi and Kanade into their guild to live with them. While in the lobby, they also come across Iz and Kuromu, and Sally asks if they were out on a date. Iz then says no and puts Kuromu in the friend zone. Maple then invites both of them to join the guild as well, and everyone is happy to have more members. While they all gather in the house, they select Maple as their leader, and she comes up with the name Maple Tree as the guild name. Then she takes Kanade and Iz on an air trip on her giant turtle, and they land in front of a mine where they can get materials. And she sucks the turtle in her ring when she doesn't need him anymore. Inside the cave, Kanade says his cube gives him a random skill every day, and today it luckily happens to be mining. Then they get interrupted by a monster, and the two leave Maple because she's slow. Meanwhile, Sally is above ground fighting some tree monsters for stats. Then some cute creatures come out to attack her, but she dodges easily and burns them all with a fireball. Then the two types of mobs team up, and Kuromu jumps in the fray and starts shield bashing them. A tree thing then comes behind Kasumi, and she shows us that she's no punk bitch either. Back at the house, they have a meeting and Kuromu tells them the devs are planning a 3rd level and 2 more events, with one of them being a guild competition. So Maple and Sally go out to find more people to recruit. After not being able to find anyone suitable, Maple suggests going back to level 1 to look for people, and in the lobby she finds Mai and Yui. She invites them to join her guild, and they happily do so. The 4 of them then go on a restaurant date to get to know each other better, and they find out the twins are players who maxed out their attack skill, so they're shit at every other skill. Then they fly on Maple's turtle to the dungeon they need to beat to unlock level 2, and the giant deer from last time spawn again. But this time Sally summons her pet to help, then uses a move from Naruto. A bunch of Sallys now start fucking up the beast, and her pet turns into an Elon Musk flamethrower. After being burnt, the deer recovers and sends giant tree roots hurtling towards Maple and the girls, but she simply blocks and devours. Sally throws a fireball and 2 wind cutters at the thing, then 5 Sallys all slice it at the same time, causing the deer to evaporate with XP, and the boss is beaten again. The twins are in absolute awe at Sally's power, and after they get back to the house, the others are glad to see new members. The twins bow to show respect, but their heads accidentally hit the table and completely shatters it. Now the rest of the team is in awe at the power of someone who's maxed out their attack instead of defense, like Maple. Subscribe and watch the next video to find out what happens in the next events, because it gets even crazier. Previously, Maple put every stat into defense and became so unkillable that the devs needed to nerf her. Soon her friend Sally also became broken at the game and soloed an entire clan in the 2nd Battle Royal event, and Maple befriends a flying turtle who needs to lose some weight. We left off after Maple recruited her friends and a pair of twins in her guild to prepare for the upcoming Team Battle Royal. Maple takes the twins to fight the Hydra boss that she mistook as a buffet in the start of the game. After easily destroying the Hydra with her own Walmart Hydra, the girls get teleported to the entrance, and they decide to go back in again for a speed run, so Maple puts everyone in her ball of poison to roll through the cave to the boss room. The Hydra respawns and immediately gets bashed by the twins' fat-ass hammers, but Maple steals their kill again by beating the boss with a 1-tap. After speedrunning, the twins gain the ability to wield 2-handed weapons with only 1 hand, and Iz gifts them new shiny crystal hammers. Later in the day, Kanade went to be a nerdy virgin in a library, solving puzzles for magic cubes. Kasumi went out to shear sheep and came across Maple, who literally turned into a sheep and gained infinite wool hacks. She then gets the brilliant idea to use her poison on top of the wool to create a protective barrier, but then she realizes she's completely stuck in the poison wool and wishes she had a stepbro to help her out. And Kuromu kidnaps Maple's turtle and ventures into a cave. Inside, he encounters a huge skeleton boss and copies Maple's move of one-shotting it with his shield. The loot chest drops and he finds an upgraded shield and armor set, then goes outside to show off his new corona mask and fake abs to Maple's turtle. After Maple heads back to the lobby, she comes across a mother caring for her sick daughter. The mom runs up to Maple and gives her a quest to help find medicine located in a spring, so Maple kindly flies the mom on her turtle over a forest full of monsters to get there. They eventually find the medicine, and while they're flying back, the mom thanks Maple for protecting her against the forest monsters, even though she didn't do anything. Maple then remembers this woman is an NPC, and they were supposed to traverse through the dangerous forest for this quest, but they flew above it, so the mom's dialogue is weird. After they get back, the daughter takes the medicine, but it doesn't help at all all. Seems like this shit is also made by Pfizer. The mom then begs the help of Maple again, and another quest pops up, asking her to travel to a faraway land to find a magical ring of healing. This reminds Maple of the regeneration ring she got after killing the bee on steroids way in the beginning. So she pulls it out, and the mom thanks her profusely for traveling so far to find it, even though Maple didn't do shit. After the mom put the ring on the daughter's finger, she suddenly goes full spastic and runs out the door screaming. The mom then gives Maple another quest to retrieve her daughter, and just as Maple tracks her down, ghosts come out of her body to attack them, so Maple puts up her shield and the ghost splits up into many. Maple now unleashes her Hydra, which literally scares the ghosts out of existence. Back in their home, the NPC bitch starts nagging again, and this time it's because her daughter won't awaken from unconsciousness. She gives Maple another quest, telling her to go to an old church. In the ruins, she finds a special potion, and after she brings it back to crack it, an angel-looking bitch spawns on top of the daughter and uses her power to finally cure the girl of the 100th strain of COVID-19. Maple then gets rewarded with a skill called Loving Sacrifice, and she goes back home to tell Liz to make her a new set of armor. After it's done, she takes her team outside to show them her new Loving Sacrifice ability, which turns her into a blonde angel and also creates a golden barrier around everyone. Maple then allows some nearby monsters to try to attack them to show everyone that as long as you stay in her circle, you'll be untouchable, because Maple herself being immortal just isn't enough. Meanwhile, in the Holy Sword Guild, they plot to take down Maple's guild in the coming events, and Payne suggests someone should go spy on them for intel. Back in Maple's tree, she tells everyone the third event is about to start and the objective is to commit genocide on cows and collect bells. Iz then gives the girls new woolly clothes with armor on the boob area for extra protection against perverts. But it seems like Kasumi doesn't mind just a little bit of attention. In the event, Maple flies on top of a mountain to kill a cow, but after she collects the bell, she slips down the entire mountain, and once she gets to the bottom, she realizes that all her devour uses are wasted on disintegrating rocks while tumbling down, so this means no more one-tapping players or bosses. Maple wanders around the dark forest and finds the church that she went in before to collect the special potion, but this time she goes deeper in the structure and comes across a boss who immediately starts throwing hands, but Maple simply blocks. The boss then reveals his BDSM fetish and summons a bunch of chains to tie her up, so Maple then uses her wool ability to make a barrier around herself. Then she pokes her head out to tell her turtle to blast Trent to become huge, then she tells him to summon tree roots to tie the boss up and shoot it with a death beam. After being severely damaged, the boss takes on a whole new form and its chest opens up to let a bunch of arms come out. Then the snake from its ass breathes fire and burns Maple's wool. While all this is going on, Sally is on the surface casually killing cows and wonders what Maple is up to. Turns out, Maple got eaten and is currently in the belly of the beast. So her only logical next move is to take revenge by eating the monster back, and she starts chewing its stomach from the inside. This causes it to scream in pain and her turtle stares at it like, "You good bro?" And before long, the boss is completely chewed up and she comes out with a bunch of new skills. Back on the surface, the Flame Guild is preparing to go full Adolf on the cows. A low-level goon lures them towards the guild, then he gets healed by a girl named Misery. The frontline soldiers redirect the cows into an area to be blown up by landmine traps set up by an emo guy named Marcus, and Me uses her firepower to turn the rest of them into steak. After the event finished, Maple gets roasted by her whole squad because she barely killed any cows. Then, they go to find the tree boss they have to beat to unlock the third level of the game, and the squad make Maple fight it, so she goes, "Alright bet," and uses one of her new abilities to summon a predator. The tree tries to grab it but quickly gets all of its fingers bitten off. Then the predator turns into a tentacle and hands the tree an old school ass whooping. As everyone is surprised by Maple's new ability, she pulls another one out her ass and turns her shield into a ball that expands in size. Maple then claws herself out of the ball in the literal form of the predator and boots the tree down. She gets on top of it for a quick meal, then slaps it like Will Smith and rips it apart in the cowgirl position, turning it into XP. After everyone's mind is done being blown, they enter the third level to find an entire machine world. Everyone splits up to explore different parts of this new map, and Maple stumbles into another boss room with a robot. She gets her shield ready just in time for the robot's attack, which is surprisingly powerful and knocks her back. The robot then glows red and fires a cog into her chest, then changes form and starts blasting again. Maple then realizes the cog in her chest gives her a new ability, so she tries it out and starts growing all sorts of mechanical weapons all over her body like a scene out of Transformers, and in the end she turns into a machine god. The robot boss then gets super jealous, so he destroys the floor and shoots Maple as he's free falling, but Maple shoots back with her big ass guns, and this creates a huge beam clash. Eventually Maple's blast overpowers the robot and splits him in pieces. After another easy W, she starts getting worried the admins might ban her for being too overpowered. Back on the second level, before the fourth event starts, Dreg talks about preparing to fight Maple Tree, and Payne says he already sent Frederica to go spy on what crazy shit Maple might be up to, but turns out, she's just chillin' on the beach with her friends. After the girls get out of the water, Sally catches someone hiding behind the rocks and tells them to show their ass. Frederica reluctantly reveals herself and comes down to try rizz up Maple, but Sally has none of it and challenges her to a duel, where the loser has to give up some guild information. The blonde is down to bang, so they teleport to the battle arena where she immediately starts blasting fire at Sally, who easily dodges. Sally then uses super speed to charge directly at Frederica, who puts up barriers, forcing Sally to cut through all of them, and right as she's done, she gets pushed back again with another barrage of fire. Frederica then shoots a bunch of rocks from the ground, and after Sally quickly cuts it all up, the blonde forfeits the duel like a bitch and reveals some information about the Flame Guild instead of her own, then gets the fuck out of there. Back in Maple's Tree, the Walmart Charizard gives everyone a rundown on the fourth event, telling them the objective is to steal orbs from the other guild's bases while protecting your own orbs from being stolen at the same time. After understanding the rules, Sally decides that Maple, the twins and Kanade should stay back to defend, while the rest of them go out to steal orbs. After a quick huddle, the fourth event starts and they get transported to their base with their orb they need to protect. The attack crew wastes no time in stepping outside to send some clowns in Viking helmets to Jehovah, but they let a guy run all the way back to his base so they can follow him there. After everyone in their base gets put on a shirt, Sally collects their orb and gives it to Kasumi, then heads out on her own because she's addicted to adrenaline. She enters a field to distract some goons while she quickly sneaks behind them to collect their orb. Then she cleverly leads their entire guild to a whole different guild so they can fight each other, and while they're all distracted, she snatches another orb. As she escapes through the trees, the Holy Sword Guild is under attack from a small army, so Dreg Hulk smashes his hammer into the ground to spike everyone, then Frederica rains fire like Thanos, and just like that, they easily took care of business. Back in the forest, Sally encounters Dredd and they square up for a 1v1, but for some reason Dredd immediately bitches out and runs away, so Sally chases him with super speed across the map and almost slices him. After they ended up in a valley, Dredd uses an ability called Godspeed and runs around Sally so fast she couldn't even see him. So she closes her eyes and activates Ultra Instinct to parry Dredd's attack, and this must have scared him shitless because he fucked off for real this time. Not too far away, the Flame Guild is also under attack, so Mi uses fireballs to defend. Her soldier then hands her a potion, and right after she takes it, she sees him drop dead and Sally zips away with their orb. Mi starts chasing Sally with flames under her feet, then Sally uses invisibility, which prompts me to blindly spam fire, burning down the forest, making Greta Thunberg upset. Back at base, the Viking clowns from before go in for revenge and try to burn them, but it does nothing because Maple used her angel protection ability. The twins then start knocking everyone out with hard balls, and as the rest of them turn to run, Kanade uses his magic to paralyze them. The last goon then tries to stab Maple, but he fails and gets smushed into guacamole. Subscribe and watch the next video to see if Maple finally gets her ass destroyed by the #1 player in the finale. Previously, Maple 1 tapped over 2,000 players in the first battle royal and became unkillable because she put every stat into defense. Then her friend Sally also became overpowered and soloed everyone in the second battle royal. After forming a guild with friends, Maple beat a disgusting looking boss that gave her the ability to turn into a monster, defeated a robot that turns her into Optimus Prime, and cured COVID to turn into an angel that gives her friends invincibility too. We left off right after the start of the guild competition, where different teams fight to the death to steal each other's orbs for points. At night, Payne gets chased through a forest and easily butchers some ops. As he runs across a bridge, he sees that he's sandwiched from both sides and smiles like a menace. Payne easily hands the ops in front of him a 3-piece special, then purposefully cuts the bridge, making everyone fall while he swings with a rope and jumps up the mountain. As he lands, he instantly one-shots 8 people with a single attack. Ayo, someone nerf this guy. Back in Maple's base, she gets excited about collecting 10 orbs, and Sally goes back out again because she thinks that's not enough. After imagining the amount of booty that Sally is tearing through, Kanade can't sit in quarantine any longer and also goes out to join in on the fun. When he encounters his first base, he uses his voodoo ability to summon a giant hand and steals a guild orb from far away. After the ops start chasing him, he uses Doctor Strange magic to bounce. Soon, half of Maple's guild is tired of doing nothing, so they head out too. Meanwhile, Sally is still being the Flash and easily steals another orb, and as she's being chased, she tells her fox to put up a wall of fire so she can dip. Back near base, Kuromo gets gangbanged by 5 opponents and dies. But instead of vaporizing, he uses ghost powers to come back even stronger and one-shots everyone. While chillin' in the cave, Maple receives a message from Sally saying she might die because she fucked around with the wrong guild and is currently surrounded by Frederica's army. Frederica is confident that she'll be easy work for her boys, but gets a bit worried seeing her cut through all of them like Gordon Ramsay, so she steps in herself and shoots Sally with flames, forcing her to quickly dodge. Afterwards, Sally gets tired, and right as Frederica is about to finish her off, Maple falls from the sky with her angel protection ability, and Frederica is like, for fuck's sake. Maple then turns into Tony Stark and uses Machine God to fly into the sky to rain death beams that take out the entire army. After Maple left the base with only the twins to defend, Dredd takes this opportunity to steal their orbs. The twins try to squash him with their big hammers, but Dredd easily dodges and gives them a gash. As Dredd tries to jump over them, Mai throws her hammer to knock him back a bit, then Yui runs around to catch it and Hulk smashes the ground to blast Dredd against a wall. Seeing he's a bit hurt, the twins both charge, but Dredd ain't messing around anymore, so he quickly puts both of them in a spliff. Right as he's about to take the orb, the entrance explodes and Maple makes it back just in time. She tells her turtle to tie up Dredd with tree roots, then she uses her predator to eat him up. After the twins respawn, they're happy to see her squad reunited and Sally shows everyone how she mapped out the enemy guild locations, then she collapses from exhaustion. Maple takes the twins on her turtle and heads straight for the Flame Guild. After she lands, she casually walks through an area full of landmines. Then she steps in a different trap and gets tied up by branches, but the twins take care of it. As Maple comes face to face with the Flame Guild leaders, she summons Hydra to poison them, but Misery uses her antidote. Marcus then throws a trap which encases them in stone, but the twins just bash through it like they do with everything in life. As they approach even closer, a fireball forms in her face and Mei comes back in the perfect time. She immediately launches fire at Maple, which surprise does nothing. As the twins charge at Mei, she pushes Maple using a knockback attack, so the twins are left stranded without protection. But little did she know, Maple has teleportation as well, so she's instantly back to defend the twins again. Mei then gets annoyed and starts spamming fire at them, and Maple tells the twins to escape on her turtle before her angel ability runs out. Soon, some of the Flame Army come to help, so Maple tells her turtle to fire his death beam. Mei sees this coming and throws a fireball to deflect, but some of her soldiers still end up dead. Maple then gets a bit closer to use Hydra, which kills even more soldiers, and as Mei is getting healed, she tells the useless goons to fuck off. After the leaders discuss a new plan of attack, two of them go in closer to hold Maple off, while Mei stays back to charge up her power. Right as Maple is about to attack back, Mei summons a huge fire over Maple and traps her in a flame prison where she slowly loses health. Knowing she's not going to be released on bail, Maple summons Machine God to break free. The Flame Guild is shocked that this bitch can also turn into an Autobot, and Maple goes full beast mode again, blasting lasers in all directions, demolishing the entire area. Accepting that they've lost, Mei desperately flies her friends away, but Maple chases them like they owe her lunch money and fires all her weapons right in their face, vaporizing them. After the dust settles, Mei managed to survive in a protective ball, but Maple hasn't forgotten about her. Mei tries to attack again, but she ran out of fire, so she goes fuck it, and runs up to Maple to use her ability to self-detonate and nukes herself and Maple at the same time. Inside the huge crater, Maple still somehow came out alive, and the twins are happy she's fine. As they go to take the Flame Guild's orb, they see it's gone. Turns out they ran away with it by themselves, so Maple couldn't take it. Later at twilight, Mei respawns and starts crying about having her booty hole analed by Maple. Her friends then tell her that Maple actually survived her suicide explosion, which makes her want to commit suicide again, and she runs away in shame. After Maple reunites with her guild, they discuss a change of plan, and Sally tells Iz and Kanade to defend the base, while the rest splits into two attack teams. Sally takes the twins to bully some smaller guilds, while Maple, Kuromo and Kasumi go skydiving without a parachute because Maple has her angel invincibility. At night, the Holy Sword Guild plans to attack Maple's guild, and Payne says he's excited to finally have a challenge. Before long, they step into Maple's base, catching everyone off guard. Sally warns them not to do this because they have Maple, who was the main character, but Frederica just decides to be fruity and flirts. Everyone nervously waits for someone to make the first move, then Payne says, "Finally a worthy opponent, our battle will be legendary." Then everyone charges at each other and Maple activates her angel. Sally jumps in the air to attack Payne, but he just slices her away. The twins then use Hulk Smash on Drag, who Hulk smashes them back with his stronger Hulk Smash. After Maple also gets pushed back, Payne takes this chance to target her and Drag goes in to finish off the twins, but Kuromo comes in clutch and saves them. Frederica sees an opening to snatch their orb, but Iz throws a grenade at her, forcing her to put up barriers. Payne continues attacking Maple and damages her through her shield. Right as Maple's angel ability runs out, Payne lunges at her in a flash and everyone watches in horror as he slices her, causing her to scream in his name. While Maple is on the ground, Pain mocks her about having just 1 HP left instead of actually finishing her off like a cliché villain. Iz then runs at Maple but gets stopped by Frederica's fire. Pain teleports to Iz right after Maple and puts the blue-haired bitch out of commission with a single stroke. He then comes at Maple again, but this time he struggles to damage her. Seems like her plot armor has returned. Frederica blows Kasumi away and summons a barrier to encase Sally, so Sally summons her fox to attack the blonde, but it gets slapped up by Dread, who then goes straight for the orb. Kanade defends by fisting Dread with giant arms, then he puts up a smokescreen and runs straight into Pain and gets violated. As Pain focuses on Maple again, she fires a barrage of attacks at him which all do no damage. He then charges up a big attack, and as he's about to deliver his finishing blow, she drops her shield and uses her robotic arm to blast him in the face with a huge laser. After getting point blanked, everyone is surprised he's still alive and he starts charging up the same attack again, but this time Maple finally unveils her trump card and literally transforms into her predator monster. In this form she tries to grab Pain and gets 2 arms sliced off, but she succeeds in the end and eats him up like a titan. Then she quickly takes care of the other 2 guys and stomps Frederica to dust. After Kanade and his respawn, the first thing they see is Maple as a predator and get scared shitless. With 3 days of the event left, Maple's team decides their goal is to simply not be surpassed in the top 10, and they can ensure that doesn't happen by decimating as many guilds as possible using her predator form. So Maple goes outside to eat people up while her whole team rides on her back. Talk about carrying. Anyways, in the Holy Sword Guild, Frederica complains about having her bottom spanked by Maple's monster, but Pain doesn't really care because they've already collected enough orb points to remain number 1. While Sally rides Maple, she notices the Flame Guild nearby causing some havoc, so she tells Maple to give them a visit. After Me burns up some lower level ops, Maple's predator jumps in front of her, causing her to piss herself. Maple then pulls a Godzilla and fires a death beam that burns up the enemies they were fighting, then leaves. Sally then reminds Maple to only kill lower level players so they don't surpass them on the rankings, and the bigger guilds can actually help with that. Soon Maple comes across another group and she kills them by sitting on them, then Kanade uses illusion magic to make it seem like there's a bunch of Maple monsters. The sight of 7 Godzillas tearing shit up terrifies everyone, and Frederica accuses Maple of hacking. After the event's over, Maple's team came in 3rd place and they held a celebration party where they also invited the other guilds. Subscribe and check out our other videos for more crazy anime recaps.